Welcome, beautiful souls, to Becoming Her, where we celebrate the vibrant and diverse journeys of trans women and crossdressers. I'm your host, Stephanie Parejamaas, a proud and playful advocate for authenticity and joy. And each episode, we'll dive into inspiring stories of transformation, resilience, self-love, self-acceptance, all well wrapped in a warm and loving embrace. Get ready for a whole lot of fabulousness as we uplift, support, and empower one another. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's unveil some truly remarkable stories. And remember to check out my Patreon, Beautifully Changed with Steph, for exclusive groups, exclusive content, and to join my Discord. And also, like this video and subscribe to my channel. Share this with a friend. And have a beautiful day, remembering you are enough. Your life matters. You are important. Elizabeth, welcome back to Becoming Her. We're so excited to hear more of your story. So everyone, let's welcome Elizabeth for part 2. Remember to give her love in the comments, support her, and thank her for being vulnerable enough to show up and share more of her story with us. So Elizabeth, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. And again, thank you for having the platform for this.
It is my pleasure. So last time we got to talk just a little bit about some of your journey. And today we're going to kind of narrow in and talk a little bit more of some of the challenges that you've been able to overcome and some of the insights you've gained through those. So did you have something you wanted to start with, or do you just want me to pick an area?
Um, well, because I remember like as soon as the last session ended, like I remembered more about the things that I um had talked about with my friends, but unfortunately I didn't write it down and now I can't remember. So
Okay, that's
yeah,
okay.
let's
So I
uh
did want to make sure also to just to all the listeners, thank you so much for all of your love on
yeah.
Elizabeth's last video. So thank you so much for that. And hopefully you'll feel even more connected to her after part 2. And if you want to share your story, remember to send me an email at stephanie@beautifullychanged.com. Okay, so back to Elizabeth. So then what about the accepting the loss of family due to coming out? Do you want to just jump in right there, or did you want to share any
Yeah,
updates
let's
on anything since our last time we met?
um yeah, well, I've had a very hectic last 6 weeks. So like so much has gone on at home and at work. So yeah, it would that would probably be our hour. Um,
Okay. Okay.
so
So then let's just focus on,
going right into
yes.
the loss of family. So one of the things that happened with me is um, like I'd said in the last session, coming out was very difficult for me because of like how I grew up, which a lot of the other people that have participated and shared their stories have said similar thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, growing up in a predominantly Catholic family, I was very concerned about how my family would see me,
Mm,
and um, especially with my aunt because she's the one that after my mom passed I have the closest relationship with.
okay.
So, and her, she also has an LGBT um, child as well. And um, prior to that, she was very much known to have very strong anti opinions,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where her child was very suppressed themselves until just like one day they couldn't take it anymore, blurted out, "Hey, this is who I am." Um, so I knew that going in, And I know that a lot of the other family members do have very similar views when it comes to uh, like it's very faith-based views on a lot of different issues. So I knew that I had to tell my aunt because uh, uh, we kind of, after my mom passed, we kind of co-manage my brother's care. So I have to be able to interact with her in some capacity all the time. But now that I've come out, like all of my documentation, that is something that has happened. Like all of my documentation has been updated now. Yeah.
Yay! How do you feel?
Oh, it was so awesome just to be able, because like getting something in the mail that has your preferred name on it, that's empowering. But then to be able to say, this is this is who I am, and be able to prove this is who I am to anybody that asks for ID, it's such a wonderful, wonderful experience.
That's so cool. That's so
Yeah,
cool. Congratulations on that.
thank you. Yeah, yeah. After I got all of my IDs, I knew that I couldn't keep it from her any further, but I was also very apprehensive, only because she has the personality that she will only change once it directly impacts her life. But it's like she's got to process it, figure things out for herself, and like it was a very hard, rocky road for her child to go through coming out, um, and I knew like that I expected that to be the same when I came out to her. However, she did like we sat down for I think like 2.5, 3 hours, and just talked about things, how I felt, what I planned to do, and that sort of thing.
Mhm.
And I feel it was very productive, and she hasn't brought up anything since. She did say, which I feel is indicative of like the older generation, that she will still see me uh, as she knew me, but she's willing to use my preferred name.
And how did you respond to that?
I understand it
Okay.
because she's known me for like 40 years as a different person,
Okay.
and it's like it's hardwired into her brain, and I do know as you get older it is harder to make certain changes.
Mhm.
So going into it, I knew those that knew me longer are going to have a harder time adjusting, and so they may have some of those viewpoints where it's like, okay, I know this is who you want to be, how you want to be called and identified, but that's not who I see you as. But yeah, I had a feeling that that would happen. It did. One of the to get into the loss aspect of it, uh, with my brother, that's the one that kind of hurt the most, because that's the
Mhm.
one that I did lose in a certain way. He's processing it himself. He knew uh, from like really early on, because after I figured it out, I broached subjects like we were just playing with Legos one day, and I had asked him, how would you feel if I was myself, but your sister rather than your brother? And he straight up said no.
Oh.
He wouldn't like it. Uh, Come to find out, he thought that uh, I had meant like if I had been born a girl and did like girl things, like he thought like the whole dynamic would change. And I was trying to say, no, I'm going to be the exact same person, just a girl rather than a boy.
Mhm.
And I don't think he really understood that, but he was like 8 or 9 at the time, so
Okay.
I give him a pass. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Later though, uh, he he and I still are very close
Okay.
because of how much care I've provided to him over the years, and support and all of that. But he has developed some like transphobia
Mm.
thinking and ideology, but I also don't know if he's saying it because he would always say it in terms of an argument. So we would have an argument and then he'd say certain things. And I don't know if he was saying that because he's upset and he wants to hurt me emotionally, but that has damaged our relationship.
Okay.
And I don't know that he fully understands how damaging it is. But when we're getting along, it's great, it's wonderful.
So
But I
how
do
do
see like
you, oh, go ahead.
he is like slipping away into that realm.
So how are you comforting yourself with that distance, the feeling like he's slipping away? How are you staying grounded in who you are, but comforting yourself? And it sounds like you're still trying to make a connection, but what are you doing to take care of yourself through this this transition of your relationship with your brother?
Right. I've had to really focus on the selfishness of what I'm doing for myself, and I had to justify it by saying I've taken care of my family for um, nearly 20 years, foregoing anything that I wanted to do for myself, and now I have this opportunity to do so. I need to take it. I don't need to feel guilty about abandoning my family or letting them down or, you know, whatever emotional trap I might fall into. I just need to focus on myself and say, once everything is done, once I'm happy with who I am and my body and everything, then I can start to rebuild relationships with friends and families that I've lost along the way if they're still there to be had.
Okay. Okay. So if somebody is listening and they're kind of going through the fear of losing family, from your wisdom that you've gained, what would you say since you are being
So
your true
that
self and all of that? So what's like a short little reminder to give them as they overcome this fear of losing family members themselves?
right, and it kind of ties into that next point, being alone, okay with being
Oh, okay.
alone.
Okay.
Um, it's my mantra is this is only temporary
Mm,
because I know that at some point whatever trouble I'm going through, it will be resolved through my effort or it'll resolve itself. And I may, at the end of that, not even have to deal with that issue, like with my brother. I He might come around on his own. He might be a lost cause, but then at the end of like once I've let that relationship go, that would then open me up to another relationship that might be available at that time. So it's everything is always flowing and it's always in flux, uh, and you don't know where tomorrow will bring you.
mhm.
So everything is temporary. What you're going through right now will never last. You'll always get through it if you have the patience.
Yeah. I think that's really important to remember sometimes, especially when in the midst of a storm, is like it's temporary. The storm will end at some point, and then there will be some good. And then another storm comes, and then there's.
Yes.
So it's just like we're in constant like there's another storm, and then there's, you know, the spring and all that, the blossoms, and then sometimes you get a storm out of nowhere and you're like, what? It's July. We're not supposed to have snow. And then, you know what I mean? So you're like, oh. So I love that. Like thinking that everything is temporary. I always think that's a really, really good reminder. Everything is temporary. Okay, so being okay with being alone is like, to me, I think there's also some real strengths in being able to be by yourself and doing things by yourself. It's like getting to know yourself on a deeper level, really connecting with yourself, learning that the only person's permission you really need is your own to be you, to do the things you want. And also, like, did you ever watch Runaway Bride?
Yes.
Do you
Yes.
remember how she had to like, I don't even know what kind of eggs I like, and she had to like figure all that stuff out because she kept running from every relationship because she
Yes.
just molded
Yeah.
into
Because
like
it's gonna.
the person she was
Yeah.
with. And so it's like when you're by yourself, you
Hmm.
get to discover like, what do I really like? What do I enjoy? What makes me curious? What hobbies do I want to pursue? Like what brings me joy? Like where do I want to go? What life do I want to create? And then yeah, you get to like add people in and stuff like that into it, but when you're alone, it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. It can really be a platform for just like really deep diving into
Hmm.
yourself and like letting yourself blossom and getting so confident in who you are and what you enjoy and what you love. And then you align with the people in your in life who, you know, will also be a really good fit for you as the true real you. And being alone is one of the greatest gifts that allows you to do that. So
Yeah. The other thing that I was thinking of in that point is like creating a relationship, because people will you will get lonely, especially at some point in your journey you will get lonely. People will leave you, or it'll be difficult for you to do things like dating,
mhm.
um, other intimate things. But it's okay to not have that in the moment. Again, it's only temporary. It will come for you.
Yes, I love that. And sometimes you got to get to the place where you're ready to receive that love anyway, because you're like
Hmm.
fully into yourself, like into who you are. And then you can receive the love and you can believe that they love you. And then you can create this like yummy, delicious, healthy relationship versus one that's like
Yes.
built on insecurity and mistrust. And do you like me? Do I have to change myself? Because when you, from everyone I've talked to, when they first start their transitioning or coming out, there's a deep insecurity of like, will I be loved? Will I be
Oh, oh
accepted?
yeah. Oh yeah.
And
Hmm.
so if you find someone right away and you're not really secure in who you are and the choices you're making, you could easily go back to the habit of sacrificing yourself to be loved, to be in a
Hmm.
relationship. So I think that's a really solid point, Elizabeth. Like, be okay
Yeah.
being alone and remember it's temporary. You're not going to be single forever. You're just single for right now. And then you're
Hmm.
not going to be alone forever. You're just alone right now. And so deep dive into yourself during that alone time, grow, blossom, and then other good things will happen.
Yes, absolutely.
And then you talk about also reaching out for resources. So can you share a little bit more about that?
Okay, so for that, it's essentially never be afraid to ask for help. Um, if you have trouble with a home life, like you finally come out to your parents for the youth. If you come out to your parents and they throw you out of the house, like know where your resources will be. Um, Even as an adult, um, if you are in need of mental health help, no, don't be afraid to approach professionals for that help. And also, if from the medical standpoint, with hormone therapy, if you think that something is not right with your dosages or how it's affecting your body, don't be afraid to go to your doctor. You have these resources and you should be aware of what they are and where you can access them.
I love that. That's a really good point. Like the resources are there to be used. So don't think you're a burden. Don't think you're asking too much. Like use the resources that are available. And I think it's also like one of those things when there's a resource that's not available, maybe you're the the one to build it. You're the one to offer
Mhm.
it so that it exists for other people. Um, just for all those entrepreneurial spirits out there who are like, well, we need this. Well, create it, girl. Like maybe you're the one
Yeah,
who's supposed to
like
make it. So, but I love that. Use the resources, use them. They're there. That's what they're there for. I'm really curious because the next topic you have is the difference between coming out younger versus older.
yeah. So when I and it plays into available resources here that I've found in the UK. When I um, was first coming out, I wanted to connect with people of my age, but it's not a thing that um, the there's not resources for my age bracket. There's a ton of resources for the youth. I
Okay,
think
so
that
can we pause for 1 second? Can you kind of
sure.
do a disclaimer on like what you're considering younger versus older? Like are you thinking 18 and younger or like 25 and younger? Like where's your younger, older?
Oh yeah, it would be like 25 and younger.
Okay.
That's because these groups are designed for well, they do have I think it starts at 13, 14. So the first group is like 14 to 18.
Okay.
They have specific ones for those ages, but then 18 to 25, there's like all sorts of resources, all sorts of social groups, get-togethers, and help with socialization and everything, which is great for them because they're still figuring themselves out naturally,
Yeah.
and then they have this transition on top of it. So I do support that. I needed it for myself
Mhm.
because I transplanted at a later age to a new country without friends or family, and then I'm adding this transition on top of it, and so I was struggling a lot with um, some of the things that I was going through
Mhm.
um, from a trans woman perspective.
Okay.
I was able to like kind of piecemeal a few things together with social media and things like that, but it wasn't exactly what I was. It was very much a Frankenstein of a um, process where I would like it to be more streamlined and
Mm.
available for older people.
So it's like if the same resources were available for 25 and older, that's available for 25 and younger. There
Yes,
would feel just like there's more support, more community, more love, more acceptance, more
yes, and
safety, all of that.
even for like elderly and senior people, I know that those people exist where they start transitioning at those older ages, and I don't know of any resources available to them. So they're pretty much doing it on their own. And
Mhm.
if they have a tough time dealing and coping with something in their transition, they they either have somebody that's with them from earlier in their life, or they have the resources to seek help with professionals, but they don't have like the ability to meet other people that are
Mhm.
going through their same difficulties. At least
Mhm.
not that I've found.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've had like a couple people who are older reach out and be like, is there like, would you ever do a service where you like connected us to other people? But I was like,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, and I was like, I mean, I would need enough people to want to connect where a lot of people want to keep their um stay anonymous, or so it's like it's
Mhm.
really hard to connect people when it's also like wanting to stay hidden at the same time. So I'm
Yes.
like, you know what I mean? So that is a thing that's like really hard to solve, because I've had
Mhm.
people be like, I would love to do that. Like I would even pay for that service to have you like connect, and we could start with
Mhm.
emails and then we can like go for more. And I'm just like, oh, I would love to make that happen, but it's kind of like people would have to be willing to risk
Yes.
being known. So like the other thing I'm starting to do in just my area, in the Phoenix area, is like once a month I want to do like a little event, and whoever wants to come can come. So like this Wednesday we went to like a drag bingo, and nobody from the community showed up, but still had fun. Went with my boyfriend and his sister, and it was really, really a great
Awesome.
time. And there was lots of people there. So
Yes.
I was like asking him, hey, do you want to like come with me and do like little, whether it's brunch or dinner or go dancing or go bowling or something, and have like whoever wants to come in the community, because I do think it's just so important to have the online community, but also the in-person community as well. So
Yes.
yeah, for all the ages. Also, the older you are, I think the more society has told you that it's scary and it's wrong. And like 25 and younger is pretty open and pretty accepting with each other. They're like, oh, I love you, be
Oh
you,
yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
like older people are like, what? What are you doing? No, 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 no. What are people gonna think? What are
Yes.
the neighbors gonna say? Right? Where like the younger generation's more just like, yes, everyone be yourselves. We love everybody. So there is a
Mhm.
lot to overcome the older you are from the stories and the programming of your mind, for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why I give the older people that I know a huge huge pass on how they treat me.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. So that's why you've been more understanding with your aunt when she's like, I'm always going to see you as how I've known you
Mhm.
for the last 40 years, but I will call you your preferred pronouns and your preferred name, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so then you also have this, which I think is interesting. I like your little bullet points because I think they're good. Talking points. So you have, which is easier, social versus medical transitioning.
Yes.
What do you got, Elizabeth? Drop some knowledge on us.
Okay. So what personally I have found medical transitioning by far easier because you just go to a doctor, you say, this is how I feel, they write you a prescription, and you can start the physical changes. Like we've mentioned, coming out to other people, socially transitioning, it's scary. It can cause issues. I hear online about people losing jobs, family relationships, friend relationships that have like childhood friend relationships that have lasted decades, and they're just gone in a flash. So socially transitioning, and especially when you first come out, or at least when I first came out, it was very weird to say, like,
Okay.
this is who I am.
Mm.
And I don't know if that was just because I was so used to introducing myself as a certain
Mhm.
person, and now I get to introduce myself as I want to, as Elizabeth. And it was surreal, like the first time that it happened.
Yeah.
And I almost flubbed it and almost introduced myself as my previous person.
Yeah.
But yeah, it becomes easier, but it is very difficult unless you are used to navigating those social interactions that might be a little bit more awkward than others.
Hmm.
So I feel that um, within the trans community, that it is infinitely more easy to medically transition because of the anonymity, where
Mm.
you have that one person that you interact with who by design, although not every doctor is
Yeah.
is accommodating, but yeah, by design, that doctor should treat you as you would want to be treated.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. So even though people are really, really scared to go to the doctors, it's like you get to keep your confidentiality. You get to start though on a journey that's going to help you feel good on the inside, right? And help your body start matching how you feel the best. But then to have to like let other people into your world, it's very scary. So it takes a lot of bravery, a lot of confidence, a lot of willingness to let other people create whatever story they want around you so that you can embrace and live your life that you should get to live, right? Like everyone's worthy
Yeah,
of living their best, most fulfilling life. And it's so sad sometimes that people in society will say, no, 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 you need to fit in this box that makes me comfortable. Like, even if it is sacrificing your entire life. I only like engage with you for like 1% of it, if even, or like a
yeah,
very small percentage of your life. And then I'm going to expect you to live your life in a way that makes me more comfortable in a way that because I understand it, or it's because how I believe, or whatever people want to say that are in disagreements, right? And so it's like,
mhm,
to be able to say, okay, I know that's out there and I want to give myself the life I want. So I'm going to be brave. I'm going to be scared. I know that some people will hate me for no reason at all, besides that I'm different than them. And I'm going to be brave enough because my life is worth it. My life matters too. I think that's like such a just powerful and brave thing to do, you
because
know?
I do remember the first time I wore a dress out in public. It was incredibly frightening. Like, am I going to get stared at? Are people going to catcall me or assault me? But nothing happened. The world didn't come to an end. You
Yeah.
know, nothing bad occurred. And I think those those types of situations where we build up that fear prevent us from experiencing the things that we want to. And it's
Yeah.
not just with transitioning, it's with a lot of different life aspects.
So Elizabeth, with that point, I'm wondering then if you could share, because yeah, sometimes the fear does build up so much that it prevents people from taking any movement, any action.
Mhm.
So the first time you wore a dress out in public, instead of focusing on the fear, if you were to share the joy, the bliss, the exhilaration, what else went through you besides the fear of getting stared at? What was the joy that you experienced when you wore a dress the first time out in public?
And so once I realized, that I am okay here in this public space, then um, I really got to experience like the physical sensations of being myself fully out in public, being able to express myself as I wanted to. So it's like I fully felt like the sway of the skirt and the the click of the heels. Like I really tuned in on those sensory details
Mhm.
that before I was really craving. I wanted to experience. Now I get to.
Mhm.
Nowadays, it's very much a common thing, so it's not as impactful. But I still get those brief moments where it's like, oh yes, this feels so so right.
Yeah. And it just feels like joy and delight. And you're
Yes,
like, this is so great.
yes, yeah.
Yeah. Good. I love that. I love that. Okay, okay. So then you have coping with unrealistic expectations with medical transitioning. Ooh, that's a big one.
Yes.
That's a
Oh,
big
this was
one.
the hardest thing for me.
Okay, tell me more.
Um, I am by nature a very patient person, as working with autistic people, you would absolutely know. Um, but when it comes to, or when it came to what I had expected of medically transitioning, I had in my head this idea that, yes, I take these pills, and I knew like these are the time frames for when certain changes would happen, and they just were not happening fast enough. Um, and I also had it in my mind that maybe if I take more medication, that will speed things along. A friend of mine talked me out of that, so
Thank
yeah,
goodness.
I did, yeah. Yeah,
But that's
I
probably a
was,
very common thought. That's probably very,
yeah,
very common to
yeah,
be like, this is going too slow. I must not be taking enough. If I take more, it'll
yes,
speed up the results. I want to get there faster. Like I've been waiting so long. I finally am doing it. Come on, let's go. Let's go. Right?
yeah. Because in my mind, I'm treating it like, gas in an engine. It's like,
Yeah.
if I press down the pedal far enough, it adds more to the engine. I should go faster,
Yeah.
but it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
There's a set speed and momentum for each individual based on so many different factors, and it coming to terms with your body is on its own journey as much as you are psychologically.
Mhm. That's
So
really
yeah,
good. So what did you do to help remind yourself like, hey, I am making progress. I am moving forward. Reel myself back in and be patient. Like, what did you have to do to remind yourself, like,
oh, there was a
to
lot.
re to what'd you say?
There was a lot. So um, again, I had to near constantly remind myself this is only temporary. The end result will come. Um, I also had to rationalize it as uh, like this is a second puberty in a sense. So however long it took you the first time, that should be roughly how long it takes you the second time. So, and even for stage development. So if you were like a late bloomer
Hmm.
during your transition, you should also be a late bloomer. So all these things that you're looking for that they say should happen early on might not happen until the very end.
Hmm.
So it's like you just have to make sure that you're realistic with knowing where you are. Um, those One of the things that I used was long distance running technique,
Mm.
where um, those of the audience that know will absolutely recognize this. When you do long distance running, you never really pay attention to how far away you are from your goal. So if you're running 5 miles, you don't pay attention to, okay, I've done 1 mile now. I've done 2 miles now. Because then you're thinking, oh, well, I'm 4 miles away from my goal. I am 3 miles away from my goal. Instead, if you just center yourself in, I am here, but I'm not yet at my goal, and everything else just melts away, pretty soon you're not even going to notice it and you will be at your goal.
Mm. Okay. Because I
You
was
just have
wondering,
to keep
like,
moving forward.
okay, I like that instead of being like, okay, we did a mile. Oh, we still got 4 miles to go.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
also think though, and maybe did you do this when you were being impatient? Did you ever be like, take inventory of, or notice like, wait, but this is happening. Like my skin is getting softer. Like I
Mhm.
am getting results, even if it is slower. Or is that the same as like, I'm only a mile in?
I had a hard time, I still have a hard time noticing a lot of the physical changes. I did notice when my skin started to change, um, and when body hair started to come in slower, but it still wasn't like it wasn't quite where I was expecting it to be. And so I think there was that want for it to be further.
Mm.
And then like I'm in that position where I'm saying, okay, I'm this far away. Now I'm in that mentality of I'm not where I want to be,
Yeah.
not where I'm not thinking of things like, okay, I've got this. I'm grateful for being where I am. It's always in relation, this is how far I am from my goal.
Yeah. It's like when you're really, really hungry and you're cooking a yummy meal and you're like gonna have a
Hmm.
dinner party or something, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna cook this delicious meal. But I've got this ingredient, and each thing takes their time, right? Like I gotta cut the onions, gotta chop the
Hmm.
garlic, gotta do all of this, gotta saute, like there's like all these steps. But in the end, it's gonna be beautiful and delicious. But when you're cooking, when you're really hungry, you're like, oh, I'm just gonna skip a step and I'm just gonna like, and then at the end, you're like, oh, but it didn't turn out like how I wanted it to. But because you went too fast or you were skipping stuff because you were so hungry, you couldn't wait, right? So it's like, it
Or
kind
you
of
ate some of
reminds
the
me of,
ingredients because you were so hungry.
yeah, so it kind of is
Yeah.
making me think like you're making this delicious meal and you're like adding in
Yeah.
these ingredients and like you're waiting for them to come together and like, all this yummy flavors going together and everything coming together so that at the end you have this beautiful meal that you get to enjoy. And so that's kind of like the medical journey is like all these little ingredients getting put in and they all will complete this delicious you at the end. But it's like sometimes
Yes.
you have to take time. Like anybody who's doing electrolysis, it's like that takes forever. That could take years
Oh my
to be
gosh. Yes.
completed. You know what
Yeah.
I
Because
mean?
I looked into it like 2 months ago here, and yeah, they were talking about, I think it was 2.5 years just for my facial hair. Yeah, because it they just do little tiny patches at a time, and yeah, it does take forever.
Yeah. Takes a long time. So it really is patience, but it's like everything's coming together for this beautiful end result. But it is definitely a journey, which okay, so then you talk about challenges with using the phone with a mismatching voice. So I think that's also
Yes.
part of the journey, right? Because depending on where you're at, and even if you are wanting, because not everybody wants to do voice lessons or have a more feminine voice. Some people are
Mhm.
just like, I'm not gonna do anything with my voice. Like, this is my voice, I'm doing my voice. But I still think it changes slightly depending on what you're doing medically or just in life in general. So can you just share a little bit about like the challenges with the mismatching voice in the phone?
Sure. Yes. So, and at my job, I work from home on the phone for customer service, um, in relation to um, motor claim support. So customers call in all the time and they deal with me directly, and I know how I sound on the phone. And when they ask for my name, like it's when I first came out at work, I was very forthcoming for about a week, and um, during that week, I would always get like uh, people that would say, "Can you repeat your name? I don't think I heard that right,"
Mm.
and they would mispronounce my name, call me a different name entirely, just because I know like how I sound. They're making a mental picture of who I am,
They have like
and they're
cognitive
trying to
dissonance.
match. Yes, yeah, yeah. So dealing with customer service as a person, like when you call your credit card company or bank or social security, whatever, how they how you answer their questions, your voice is going to tell them certain information, and it
Mhm.
may not match what they already know about you. Like for instance, um, when I was doing my identification changes, I had to call up the um, one of because it happened in both places, honestly. So when I called the US Embassy to set an appointment to get everything updated, um, first of all, they stirred me,
Mm.
and they didn't believe that I was who I identified as.
Mm.
And like after I corrected them, they did say, yeah, okay, well, um, like they apologized and all of that. But it was very embarrassing to have to explain in the moment, like, this is who I am. I'm not trying to steal somebody else's identity.
Oh, is that what they think?
That's that's kind of what they were leaning towards. Like,
Oh,
can you,
okay.
like, they went through security a little bit more thoroughly than I had experienced in the past.
Okay. Because they're like, your voice isn't sounding like how I think Elizabeth should sound.
Yes.
Okay. So what do you do in those situations? Like how do you work through that? How do you cope through it? Because you said you feel embarrassed sometimes. So what are you doing to help yourself when there is the mismatch? And how do you correct
Well,
people?
at work, it became an issue where I was, I say it unfortunately, because as much as I really want to uh, be myself at work, it's just a hassle that I don't want to deal with. So I go by my surname rather than my first name.
Oh,
So
okay.
my surname is also a first name. So
Oh,
that's where, and it's a gender neutral name on top of that. So I get like all sorts of bonuses. I don't get the awkward questions. I don't get um, like uh, people making not rude assumptions, but um, like you can tell in the way that they ask about who I am. Like, can you tell me your name? Can you repeat that? Um, like the at work I go by Beth. So on the phone they ask me, who are you? I say Beth. Oh, nice to meet you, Steph.
mm,
That sort of thing. And it's like, well, no, it's Beth. And I just avoid all of that awkwardness just by saying my surname.
your
So
surname. And are you okay with that though? Like, are you okay with that solution?
for now,
Okay, for now.
which is where like I know further down the line I do plan on working on my voice, getting it more feminized and things like that. But
So it
for
sounds like
now, this is a balanced solution.
okay. So that's what I was gonna say. Sometimes it sounds like there has to be a lot of compromising on solutions that aren't ideal or the most perfect, but they at least help it feel not as horrible.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything else you wanted to say about mismatching voice on the phone?
Um, Not particularly, but just really like if you are for the audience, if you are concerned about it, do think about different solutions like I was able to do with my name, um, and also be prepared to have that discussion with the people that will absolutely challenge you
Mm.
on verifying who you are,
Mm.
especially early on when you're trying to update your records. Um, like with my bank, uh, I had updated it online, but then I needed to call in to clarify certain points, and I wasn't quite sure what their system was currently showing. And that was another instance where they thought that I was trying to steal somebody else's identity.
Okay.
And yeah, because they said, well, you've identified yourself as this, but then you're also giving me this other name. So which one are you? And
Mm.
I think it's really good to be prepared to have that direct conversation.
Yes. And like, would it be fair to say don't take it personally. Just go in with what the goal, the outcome you want. Stay
Mhm.
peaceful within yourself, knowing that you want a specific outcome. And sometimes people don't mean to be difficult, but they are. And even if they do mean to be difficult, you still have to talk to them to get to the end result. So, like that's why I like the Four Agreements. Have you read that book?
No, but I
Oh,
would say that oh, continue because it's
okay.
left my mind. Yeah.
Okay, because I was gonna say one of the agreements is to not take things personal. And so it's like that's something that is very beneficial. I know it's hard because it's like so exciting and all of these things, but if somebody mismatches your voice, it's also like because I get that with my last name all the time. Like even how to spell it or anything. Because I even like I'll try to
Mhm.
spell it and people are like, wait, what? And they're like, I'll spell it out exactly and they like change it as I'm spelling it for them. And I'm like, because in their mind, they're like, no, 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 it can't be two A's in a row. And I'm like, oh, but
Mhm.
it is two A's in there. And I'm like, no, 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 it's
Yeah.
A. But in their mind, they're like, no, it should be two S's instead of two A's.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, it's two A's. And they're like, it's two A's? And I'm like, two A's. Or I even have people be like, when I was a little bit younger, because my voice sounds a little bit older now, but it still sounds pretty young, where I'd have people be like, can I talk to your parent? And I'm like, I am the adult, like it's me, you know? So
Yeah.
so yeah, I think there's like I love that just coming up with different solutions. And sometimes it sounds like you got to be a little creative. So whether it's giving yourself a
Oh, yeah.
nickname or using your surname or something like that. Did that make you think of what you wanted to say?
Yes, it was when you do come across that, like you said, don't be emotional, just keep to the facts. So if you're calling up for a reason, just answer their questions bluntly,
Mm,
um, respectfully, just like you said, get to that point. But
yeah.
yeah.
Get your outcome that you want, regardless of what the other person is doing on the other line. And then you can like vent to a friend afterwards, go for a
Oh
walk,
yes, I
you know, all of that good stuff. But like
yeah.
when you're on the
Or even have
phone,
a good
that's
cry. Yeah.
yes, like sometimes you have to get through that's the person you have to talk to get the outcome you want. So it's like you said, just be direct, be blunt, be honest, work through it, then get off the phone and then be like, oh my gosh, that was ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So then we have, which I think this is important to talk about, finding cheap, low cost products, services.
Yes. So one of the barriers for me personally with makeup is how expensive it is. And even for things like I didn't realize how expensive hair care products
Mm.
are. And I'd heard before there's like the pink tax.
Yeah. The pink tax. Yep.
Like it. I knew it was a thing. I've seen the data. It is real, but it's
Now you're
like it's an
experiencing it.
entirely different thing. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I would say if you have somebody in your life that can help you find those deals, like use that resource. Absolutely use it, and then uh, do a ton of research. If you don't have that person that can direct you, um, just keep looking. If you think you found a good deal, keep looking.
Yeah.
Because and but yeah, also like be aware of like the quality of stuff that you get and things like that. Um, but yeah, I do think that there is a distinct challenge in learning what's a good product for yourself, where to get those good deals, and yeah, because it was another thing that I had experience with before transitioning by moving to another country
Mm.
because they have entirely different stores here.
Yeah.
I had to learn like what are the national brands for grocery stores, clothing stores, um, like I had to find equivalents for things like Walmart and Target
Yeah.
and all sorts of things. So having that experience, I think, helped me find um, where those good deals are for the products that I know exist. So I'll research like what's the best product for um, like uh, for nail care and like for not the nail polish remover.
Hmm.
Like where can I get the best deal for that? I'll be able to know like can I trust that this store has the best price for it?
Yeah. And then I think
It's
it's
like
also
those little
okay.
things like that.
Yeah. And I think as you're deciding to like what is the thing that you do want the more expensive because it works better? And maybe you don't have to do
Yes.
that with everything, but maybe there's a certain like skincare or nail polish remover that you just like really love for whatever
Mhm.
reason. And so you're willing to spend a little bit more on that, but then like everything else you want to spend a little bit less on. Like for me, I'll spend more on like a BB cream because
Mhm.
I want like one that feels good on my skin and doesn't feel cakey and makes my skin look nice and glowy. So I spend a little bit more on that, but then I'll buy like $3 lip gloss. You know what I mean? So I think,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah. So know what you want to spend more money. And some people love buying like really fancy shampoo. And, so
Yeah.
it's like, where do you want to spend the money and where do you want to save the money? And does it really matter? Like on your eye cream, does it really matter to buy the $50 one or does the $10 one work just as good? Like experiment, find out, play with it, have
Yeah.
fun with it.
And do your research because
Yeah.
plenty of people have done those experiments
Mhm.
and they will tell you that there are reviews out there. But yeah, like for me, I have to spend a lot on hair conditioning
Mm.
because of like the texture and quality of my hair that I did not get from my mom. She had the most beautiful curls, but yeah, I know that I have to spend a lot on that product. So I do look for um like this is this is what I need it to do, and
Mhm.
I don't care about the cost.
Mhm.
But then there's other products like nail polish. I don't mind going to the dollar store and picking out a couple of colors. That's fine. And I don't need to go to Sephora or anything
Mhm.
like that. Um, so yeah, it would definitely be advice to know what you spend your money on.
Yeah. And also even like whether it's resources like for voice training or dancing or even like for me
True.
like
Yeah.
ordering a personalized recording like stuff like that. Like I know I'm on the more expensive end for some people, but I also know the quality of work that I'm going to give and what I provide. And
Yes.
so I've even had other people be like, "Oh, I tried out a different hypnotist that was less than you and I'm back." And I'm like, "Well, thank you."
Yeah.
And but
No,
it's also
there
like,
is
yeah.
yeah, there's truth to the maxim you get what you pay for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's really, really true. Okay, the art of the compliment.
Yes, this is something that I struggle with still to this day, a couple
Okay.
years in, where I noticed that when two women meet each other for the first time, they greet each other, and like part of that greeting is to compliment each other on something of their look or something that they know about the other person. And for me, it is really hard to identify something in in order to do that.
Okay. So give me an example. So if we met and I was like, "Oh my God, look how cute you look today.
Yeah,
I love your hair. It looks so nice. It's so curly and
yeah,
cute and thick." And
right.
then,
And for you, I would say like I love your hat because I have a Mercedes myself, so it's like that
oh,
started. Yeah,
so right there, you don't need a reason.
right. But it's like when I meet somebody, and this may be from being in guy mode, like
Uh-huh.
it's not as much of a thing. It's like, hi, how are you?
Yeah.
And you get down to business. You don't really worry about making the other person feel good through compliments.
Yeah. So I love that. So that's something you're working on, is the art of the compliment. That's such a great.
Yes.
So yeah, I think it's always safe if you think she looks cute to always just be like, oh my God, look how cute you look today.
Well, that's another aspect too, where like as a guy, if I compliment a woman, like that to me feels like I'm saying I'm attracted to you. Like I
Hmm.
want some sort of intimacy from you. And I
Right.
think getting over that is a little bit hard for me.
Well, remind yourself, are you a guy?
No.
What, are you a
But
woman?
it's like, yes, but
Okay.
that's the thing. It's like I have this ingrained into me. I
I
have to
know.
overcome it.
So
Yeah.
that's why you would remind yourself, but I'm not a guy. And this is how I greet my friends. This is how Elizabeth greets her friends. Elizabeth is like, or you
Yeah.
just pick like a, oh, your earrings are so cute, or your eyes look so pretty today, or you always have the best smile. Or it could even be something like, oh, I was so looking forward to seeing you. I love your hugs, whatever.
Hmm.
So it's definitely, you could pick anything, or you could be like, um, I don't know if you laugh when when you first see each other. Oh my gosh, I love your laugh. I couldn't wait to hear it. Just anything where it's that's true, but you never have to give like a reason for it. You don't have to be like, I love your earrings. Well, because I love the color blue, which is I think the guy mode that's coming in to overwrite
Yes.
the compliment, because you're trying to be like, oh, I love your hat. But
I
it's
have
not
to.
because
Yeah.
I'm attracted to you. It's because I have a
Yes.
Mercedes. I like Mercedes, da, 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 right?
Hmm.
So I think that's where you're like counteracting it, where you just have to be like, no, I could just give a compliment because I give a compliment, because women give compliments. That's it.
Yeah.
This is how I greet. So just practice. Just practice it. Even if you're practicing in your head. Like all the time, if you see someone on TV, what compliment would you give her? Just think about it without the reason behind the compliment. Cut that off, because that would also, I think, because when a lot of trans women talk about passing and how do I pass more?
Hmm.
So you pass more by not explaining your compliment. Do you know what I mean? So you're just like,
I do. Yes.
oh my God, that lip gloss looks so good. It looks so pretty on you. I love that lip gloss, You don't have to be like, I love it because it's shiny and the way that your lips are shaped. You know what I mean? You just are like, give the compliment. No
Yeah.
reason.
Because I'm learning that it's um, like I'm almost instantly thinking of how I need to justify this compliment.
Nope.
But yeah.
Put that to rest. There's no the justification always is, this is my friend and I want her to feel good.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. Like when I go to the gym, people come up to me all the time, guys, girls, whatever. Oh, I love your outfit. And
Hmm.
I'm just like, oh, thank you. And sometimes guys will add like additional things. Women never do. I'm just like, oh my God, look how cute you look in that. Oh, I love that tattoo. Da, da, da. That's how I make all my friends at the gym. Just go up and compliment them. So just think of it. Just find something that's true. Doesn't have to be any bigger than, I was so excited to see you today. Or look how cute you are. Look how cute you look. Because that's what we all say to each other.
Right. And I would say that I'm getting better with
Hmm.
my friends, but I still worry about meeting new people. Like,
Yeah. Well, before you meet new people, give yourself a little pep talk and be like, Elizabeth,
yeah,
I am an incredible woman and I'm going to compliment these new people I meet tonight. And you don't have to like compliment everybody all the time, but definitely practice. Just practice noticing. So when you watch TV, when you see people walk by you, like if you're going for
yeah.
a walk or
Well,
something, just notice
okay,
things that you would compliment that way and
yeah.
say it in your head.
And for me, that's one of the harder parts is actually noticing what it is that I should be complimenting or what
Mhm.
I would like to compliment on a person.
Yeah,
And yeah, because it's again,
that's
it's
great.
just not
So I would
something I'm
say
used to.
compliment. So we don't necessarily compliment bodies. We compliment
Right? Yeah,
outfits.
I wouldn't say like
No,
your
no, no, no.
figure looks nice, but
No, this is, but this is for anybody else who's listening too. These are good. This is a great question. The things that you compliment, like the
yeah,
accessories, the outfit,
okay,
how pretty they look, how put together they look, how classy they look, how elegant they look, goddessy, whatever you want, whatever adjective you want to give them. But like we would never be like, dang, well, I mean, unless you're really good friends with somebody, like today, my friend at the gym, I was like, dang girl, that's what those pants are supposed to look like. You know what I mean? Because I was like, your
Yeah.
booty looks so good in those. That's what those pants are supposed to look like. Right. But I know
Yeah.
her very, very well. But another person at the gym, I was like, you know what? I just want to thank you for your confidence watching you in the gym, being as confident as you are because of like the outfit she wears and everything. I was like, your confidence has helped me feel more confident in myself. So thank you so much for that. Right. So like the different kind of compliments, because she's a stranger, never talked to her before. Somebody else will be like, oh my gosh, I love your tattoos. So, but if you're like really close with a friend, then you can comment on like, dang girl, that dress really shows off your figure.
Yes.
So when you're giving compliments, think about how well do you know the person? How intimate is your relationship? But then you can just compliment accessories, colors, looks. Dang, red is your color. Purple looks so good on you. I need to see you in purple more. Stuff like that. And then also personality traits. So you're so funny. You're so caring. I love how thoughtful you are. You're always thinking of others. Like I love how kind you are to everyone we meet. You have the best stories. So think about personality traits or accessories, colors they're wearing, stuff like that, their shoes, anything like that. Or I always love how on time you are, or you know what I mean?
Is there, I'm sure it's on a per basis or per person basis, but is there like more of a weight or value to something uh, like a personality trait that you compliment versus um, like something physical about their appearance?
I think that depends on the person, but I always like to mix up the compliments. So if I'm just meeting someone out, I'm like, oh my God, you look so cute. And then at the end of the time with them, I'll be like, thank you so much. I love the way you listen. I just love spending time with you. It feels so good to be around you. I love the advice you give. I think you're so funny. Like I'll give them something, a personality trait at the end of our connection, but at the beginning, I will compliment on what they're wearing.
Okay.
Yeah. And even like, for instance, I was out for a birthday dinner with one of my friends and I was talking for a little bit and then she was telling me a story and I just instantly like leaned in. So I like leaned in and kind of tilt my head and she was like, you know what? I just have to tell you, I love that you lean in when I'm talking. I love that. She's like, because I lean back. She's like, I lean back and I take it all in, but you always lean in and you're like, let me listen to you. And she's like, and you'll just focus. She's
Yeah.
like, I just love that the way you listen to me when I talk. And that was just like in the middle of our conversation. She just was like, pause. I love the way you listen. Right. So
Right.
so just like when something comes to like that, it's okay to be like, hold up. I just need you to know I absolutely love how you do this.
Okay.
So it's kind of like the art of the compliment. It's finding the truth in a way that makes like elevates them and lets them recognize something within themselves that maybe they don't, or maybe they already do. Right. If you're a girl's girl, you want to lift up other women all the time. If you're not a girl's girl, you know, those girl, like if you're not a girl's girl, you kind of try to knock other girls down. So remember, as you give yourself a pep talk, you're trying to build other women up. So compliments are just like
Yeah,
a
I wouldn't.
fun way.
I can't think of any time that I've ever been like they have like a backhanded compliment.
Oh
I
yeah.
hate those because they are so nasty.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't do that to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't do that to somebody that is genuinely upsetting to me. I wouldn't
Yeah.
do that to my enemy.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. So just like in your mind, be like, I'm a girl's girl. So this is easy for me. I love giving compliments. I can easily notice something to compliment all the time. All the time. Just look for something you like. That's basically what you're doing. What do I like? I'm
Yeah.
going to say that. That's what I like. That's what I'm going to point out. What do I like? That's what compliments are. You're just pointing out what you like. Make it simple.
Okay.
Make it simple. That's all it is. Okay. Your last thing you have is coping with imposter syndrome when first coming out.
Yes. So I know that you have discussed this on the channel before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for me, it was um, like in the very early days that almost incongruent thinking where it's like, I know that these people know me as this person. Now I'm telling them that I'm this person. Do I really fit into feminine spaces? Do I really um, do they really genuinely see me as the person that I want to be? And it's taken me quite some time to overcome that to an extent. Because I still have issues with um, things like using the ladies' bathroom. I do feel like even going shopping, like
Mm,
I do feel like not that I don't belong, but that other people are looking at me as if I don't belong.
mm-hmm.
Even though there's nobody, yeah, there could be nobody actually looking at me.
Yeah.
Like they're off in their own little world doing their own shopping and everything. But for some reason I have it in my mind that they're concerned about me.
Mm-hmm. And even if you find that random person who is,
Mhm,
like, I always think, well, I could comment on what they're shopping for.
mhm.
Doesn't mean I can't buy what I want to buy. Doesn't mean I can't wear what I want to wear. Doesn't mean I can't be who I want to be. So think about like a toddler that's learning how to walk. Because you were saying, I was my this way for so long. And then I'm like, hey, everyone, just kidding.
Yeah,
This is where I belong over here. So I'm going to be over here now. Right. And so,
essentially, yeah.
yeah. And so, like, if people were like, is that toddler trying to walk right now? What is that toddler doing? Oh, they think they're a walker? Oh, what are they? What are they just trying to take their first couple steps, but they're falling down and they don't like, do you think that little toddler's like, you know what, y'all? I'm learning to walk, but I mean, I'm just not nailing it yet. I still fall down. So I'm not a walker. I better just like excuse myself and just never walk again. Right? It's like kind of thinking of yourself that you're taking your first steps. You're entering into this new world that you're allowing yourself to be a part of. And so you have all these new rules to learn. You have all these new ways. It's like you're like a little baby coming out and you're learning how to do everything. And so
Yeah.
you're this little toddler going through the world and you're taking your steps and you're going to fumble and you're going to fall. But you still have the right to take those steps, right? And even if another big kid comes over and pushes you down, what does that toddler do? Gets back up and takes more steps, right? So it's kind of like give yourself permission to be that toddler, to be imperfect, to learn, right? Like what's a hobby that you do that you're pretty good at now, or something, just a skill you have that you're really good at?
Storytelling. So
Okay.
I do a lot of Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay. The
Yeah.
very first time you played D&D, were you like, dang, I am expert level, the best D&D player that ever existed? Or did
No,
you have to
I
learn?
actually
Go ahead. You're like, I am the best. I'm like the best dungeon master ever.
no. Well, first time that I ran a game, yes, I did. It
Good.
was absolutely horrible of a session, but I look back on it like it was a wacky adventure. We all had fun. Um, I did get frustrated about things that I shouldn't have, but I learned from it.
Yeah.
But
But
what I was laughing at is like I remember the first time that I played D&D, and it was me and a kid from school, and just on the playground, and he introduces it to me. He didn't even know how to like structure a character or anything properly, and he's trying to teach me.
yeah.
It was very
Were you like
cute and
this
funny, but
D&D imposter? Like if
yeah,
someone's new learning the game, are you
yeah,
like, you can't be here. You don't
yeah.
you're not expert level yet. Get out.
yeah, I was very much overwhelmed by, like, what are these numbers meaning in this game? Like,
Yeah.
where's the board? Why are there so many dice involved?
And why are they
That sort
different
of thing.
shapes?
Yeah.
What's happening?
Yeah.
What does the 20 mean? What's going on? And like, why do we have a board? And like, what do
Yeah.
we mean like my character does what? And what I gotta what? You know what I mean? There's so many things to learn. But when somebody's learning D&D and they're with other people who already know how to play, people most of the time, every once in a while, you might find somebody who's like, you don't know how to play, then you can't play with us. Oh my God. Right.
Yeah.
But
I
everyone
I
else is going to be so
yeah.
welcoming and they're going to say, oh, what? You want to learn to play with us? Come in.
Mhm.
Let's learn. And then there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to
Oh
learn.
yes.
So transitioning your entire life, there's a lot to learn. So you're a toddler, you're new, you get to make mistakes, you get to be imperfect, you get to go on this new journey where you're learning and discovering and all of these things. So it's okay to be patient with yourself, just like you would be with a toddler. Like if you saw a toddler and you were like, what's up with this baby? They don't even know how to walk yet. I'm
Yeah.
like, so lame. Like, how old are they? And they're not walking. Wait, they don't run yet? Like, what? Oh my gosh, so lame. I can't even believe this toddler over here. Ugh.
Yeah.
Like they're not a real person because they can't walk yet, like no, we would never do that. So I think giving yourself, anybody who's listening, anytime you're like hard on yourself or think you don't belong, or you're not good enough, or you're not pretty enough, or you're not feminine enough, or you're not this, or you're not that, or you're not that, just ask yourself, would you say that to a toddler who's learning to walk? Would you say that to somebody else who is learning the hobby that you are now good at, that you once started at, that you weren't great at when you first started? There's room to grow. No one's expecting you to come in to be perfect, nail everything. No, you get to be you. And that in itself means that you're valid and you're true and not an imposter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The,
Yeah.
the irony of what you've just said is that I've had to have almost near exact conversation with my brother where um, he goes into learning skills and everything, wanting to do it in reverse. He
Mm,
wants to learn like the master level and then work on the basics after that. It's like that's not how it works.
yeah.
So um, yeah, I find it very interesting that I've
Yes.
had to have to receive that exact same conversation.
Exactly. How can you be a master when you're just beginning? And why is the beginning not okay? Why are you telling yourself you can't have a beginning? And why not enjoy the journey and capture the progress you're making each and every day? Like this is a beautiful journey that you get to, if you capture it and just notice your progress from even going from hiding yourself, from purging to doing all of these things like purging your whatever you buy, all of that stuff, to allowing yourself to keep something, to telling someone, this is who I really am. Do you still love me? And they're like,
Mhm.
yes. And you're like, okay, yay. Or they're like, no. And you're like, well, okay, they don't love me anymore, but I still
Yeah,
love me. So I'm still going to be me. And like giving yourself these little moments to just be yourself and love yourself and be imperfect and be flawed and know that the only way you're ever an imposter is if you were pretending, but you
yeah,
know with everything inside of you that you were just born in the wrong body. You were misgendered when you were a child, and now you get to be you. So be you. How is that pretending you're someone that you're not? The imposter is who you were when you were living your life as a male, right? Because that wasn't the true you. That was you showing up every day as an imposter.
yeah.
But
Oh
you
yeah.
living as your truth is the real you. So how could that be an imposter?
I I I get it. And what I would say is that I will work on it on myself and everything. But it's very hard to know that like knowing how long I've like you said, because I'm trying to really put this together, and I'm sorry if I'm fumbling a lot. But like you said, having been an imposter as a male for so long, I understand what it's like to pretend to be something. But now that I'm learning to be who I am, I feel that other people perceive me as the imposter. It's not necessarily that I feel that I am an imposter. It's that I think other people think I'm an imposter, and
Mhm.
that's why it's difficult for me to accept myself
Mm.
in uh, certain spaces and environments.
Yeah. So just give them the permission to think whatever they want to think. Release that power. Be like, you know what? Take the power back by saying, hey, I think that person's judging me right now. Go ahead, judge me. And then it frees up that anxiety, that anxiousness, that idea that they think you're an imposter because you're like, they don't know my life. They don't know me. They're just making up a story in their head. They're a storyteller right now. And so I'm going to let them, sure, here's permission. Go ahead and say whatever you need to say for yourself. And then it gives you the chance to then refocus on you and be present in whatever you're doing. So just give people permission, give the people that are judging you the permission to judge you. And then you take back your power and you live your life for you. I mean,
Okay.
it seems like it's such a simple thing, but literally I do this all the time. I'm like, is that person judging me? And I'm like, you know what? Go ahead, judge me. Do it. Think what you want to think. I'm going to keep living my life. Am I happy? I'm happy. Cool. Your story doesn't matter then because it's not true. And even if it doesn't have to impact me more than that. You can think whatever you want. And if ever someday you want to have a conversation with me and hear my story, then I will share it with you. But if you don't want to and you just want to make up your own little thing over there, I hope you make it good, girl or guy or whoever's over there making up a
Yeah.
story, you know? So I think that's why it's really
Well, good.
important to remind yourself every day how much you love yourself, what you love about yourself, what your end goal is, and that you're overcoming every single obstacle that pops up in front of you.
Um, two things that came to mind. Um, one was going way back to uh, the spotting changes. One of the things that I had to rely on is uh, my friends telling me that I've changed, because like I don't see them every day.
Mm,
So when there is a change, they will notice it. But I look
mhm,
at myself in the mirror every single day, multiple times a day. So it's like watching a plant grow.
mhm,
You're not gonna notice when it pops out from the soil, but if you go away for a day or so, you'll notice it. You'll
mhm,
it's clear and evident.
mhm. You
So
can
I
also
would
take
say
pictures.
that yes, that was something that I had started to do after a while.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm still very like photophobic.
Yeah.
I guess would be the term. Yeah,
You're very critical of yourself, Elizabeth.
I am.
Yes. Yeah. So that makes sense. If you see a photo,
Yeah.
you're focusing on what you don't like instead of what you do.
Yes, because like when I was first going on hormones, it's like these are all. I looked at myself and said, these are all the things that I want to change, and I had plans on how to change them. And over the last couple of years, I've let a lot of that go because I've seen how I have changed with the hormones, and I've come to accept the the fact that like the changes that I really thought that I wanted, I don't.
Mm, I like that. Because at first you think you want something and then you're like, maybe I don't want that. I like that. And
Mhm.
in that, there's a lesson of you can change your mind. You can want something and then not
Yeah.
want it later, and you can change your mind, and that's okay because you're just a little toddler going into the world, figuring out your new tastes, your new likes. And what was the second thing you said that made you
Okay.
think of two things? So the one thing was your
Yeah.
friends telling you,
Okay.
the second one.
what were we talking about? It was just before I met this. Oh, it's
Imposter
hard from
syndrome.
memory. And it's gone. I
Okay.
can't remember.
Well, if it comes back to you, let me know. But I think we were already like 90 minutes in. so
Oh, gee.
so we should wrap up just because I don't know if anyone's still listening. We appreciate you. Yay, 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 yay. I definitely I hope that you are sharing and getting engaged in the conversation in the comments. And we always love to hear that. And so everyone, let's just thank Elizabeth so much for coming. Elizabeth, any final words you want to say? Any final thoughts you wanted to end with?
Um, Not particularly this time. I think I've said everything that I've meant to say.
Okay, well, thank you so much. This was so great. I really enjoyed this conversation with you. And I appreciate your openness, your vulnerability, your just like beauty, your heart, everything that you shared with us today. So thank you so much for being here. I deeply appreciate it. And everyone listening, remember to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and give Elizabeth some love in the comments. So yay, yay, yay. Thank you, thank you, thank you.